Your hand goes cold before you even open the banking app. Not because anything is actually wrong yet, because somewhere behind your ribs, a 200,000-year-old alarm just went off. The same one that used to mean a predator was close, or the food had run out for the season. Your bank balance isn't a saber-toothed tiger. Your body doesn't know that. This isn't a personality flaw, and it isn't just anxiety. It isn't you being bad with money. It's a survival system doing exactly its old job, on a threat it was never built to grade by degree. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky spent decades studying stress in zebras and in humans, and found the difference that matters here. A zebra's stress response is short. Outrun the lion or don't, and either way, in minutes it's over, and its body goes back to grazing like nothing happened. Human stress, Sapolsky found, can stay switched on for months. Worrying about a bill due next week keeps the exact same physiological alarm running that used to only fire for an actual predator, except now it never gets the all-clear signal a chase provides. There is no moment where the lion is confirmed gone. For most of human history, running low on resources wasn't a metaphor for danger. It was danger. No food stored for winter meant a real chance you wouldn't survive it. Your brain's oldest alarm system never learned the difference between the harvest failed and rent is due Friday. Both get filed under the same category. Not enough, and not enough used to mean you might die. Psychologist Gary Evans at Cornell measured what that alarm does to a body over years, not just moments. Tracking children from birth through their teenage years, he found that the more years a child spent in poverty, the higher their overnight cortisol and the more strained their cardiovascular system looked by age 13. A physical wear and tear researchers call allostatic load. Growing up around scarcity doesn't just feel stressful in memory. It leaves a measurable mark on the body, the same kind chronic threat leaves on any animal that never gets the all-clear. Economists Sendhil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir tested this directly on 464 sugarcane farmers in India, whose income arrives once a year at harvest, leaving them flush right after and stretched thin in the months before. They gave the same farmers the same cognitive tests before and after payment. The exact same people made more errors and scored measurably lower in the weeks they were financially stretched. Nothing about their intelligence had changed. Their bandwidth had. Scarcity itself was quietly eating the mental resources they needed to think their way out of it. Picture the parking lot before you walk into the grocery store. You're doing the math before you're even through the doors. This, not that. Put the good coffee back. Check the total twice before you reach the register. Your ancestor did this too, just with a different tally. How much is left in the store? How many mouths? How many days until the next hunt? Same arithmetic, same tight chest, different receipt. Or picture 2. AM, the room dark except for the phone screen. Thumb opening the banking app for the 4th time today, even though the number hasn't changed since this morning. Nothing new to see. You check anyway. Same reason a person on watch keeps scanning the tree line even when nothing has moved. The alarm doesn't get satisfied by information. It only gets satisfied by safety, and a number on a screen was never built to provide that. Here's the part that makes it a trap, not just a bad feeling. The stress isn't only uncomfortable, it's actively working against you. The mental bandwidth that scarcity steals is the exact bandwidth you'd need to plan your way out of the scarcity. It's not that stressed people make worse decisions because they're careless. It's that the alarm is loud enough to drown out the part of the brain that plans ahead. The same way it's hard to think clearly about tomorrow's meeting while a smoke detector is going off in the room. Which is the cruel shape of the whole trap? The very resource scarcity steals from you is the one resource you'd need to think your way out of scarcity. Not a lack of character, a closed loop. So what actually turns the alarm down? And it isn't just stop worrying. The alarm was never listening to reason in the first place. Research from Vanguard, surveying more than 12,000 people, found something almost absurdly modest. Those with around $2,000 set aside report a measurable jump in well-being and spend less than half the time each week actively worrying about money compared to those with none. Not enough to be rich. Not even enough to solve the underlying problem. Enough, apparently, to tell the ancient alarm there's a small buffer between you and the edge. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found the same pattern. Even small savings measurably change how safe people feel, long before the amount is large enough to change their actual financial situation. Your ancestor brain isn't asking to be wealthy. It's asking for a little runway before the next unknown. None of this means the fix is willpower, trying harder not to worry or shaming yourself into saving more. Economists Richard Thaler and Shlomo Benartzi tested that assumption directly with a program called Save More Tomorrow. Instead of asking people to cut spending starting today, it asked them to commit in advance to saving a small slice of their future raises. Money they hadn't touched yet, so it never felt like a loss. Workers who joined lifted their savings rate from 3.5% to over 13% within a few years, without ever feeling the sting of a smaller paycheck. The alarm doesn't respond to good intentions. It responds to a small automatic buffer quietly building in the background, whether you're thinking about it or not. And there's a second signal that calms it, one that costs nothing. For most of human history, scarcity was never carried alone. If your stores ran low, the tribe knew. And a tribe that shares food shares the risk of hunger too, spreading one household's bad season across many shoulders instead of one. Today, it's carried in silence, behind a banking app nobody else can see, which is exactly the kind of threat your ancestor brain was never built to face by itself. A private number on a private screen is a distinctly modern kind of alone. Saying the number out loud to one person you trust doesn't fix your bank account. It doesn't pay a single bill, but it does the other thing the alarm has been waiting for the whole time. It tells your oldest wiring that this one isn't being faced alone, and that, more than any amount in the account, is what the alarm was built to listen for. Your hand still goes cold before you open that app. But the alarm was never asking you to have more. It was only ever asking you to feel a little less alone with the number on the other side of the screen.